eyes on me. All eyes on me.
History goes on the line this afternoon in Melbourne as the Newcastle Jets look to beat Melbourne City in the Ninja A-League for the first time ever, while City will look to extend their advantage at the top in the premiership race. Good afternoon and welcome to Amy Park on Wurundjeri Country here in Melbourne. City hosting the Newcastle Jets in one of the most one-sided records in the history of the Australian National League. That's across men's and women's competitions. Melbourne City have played the Jets 19 times, City winning 18 with just one draw. But every streak exists until the day it ends, and the Jets arrive with the belief they can be the side to turn the tables off the back of a last-gasp win over Sydney FC. So this afternoon, can Newcastle elevate themselves back inside the top six with a famous victory, or will it be Melbourne City continuing their march towards a third consecutive premiership? You can see their City with games in hand, and they are leading this competition. The only other side in that top six who have also played 8 matches, Brisbane, and they're 6 points clear of them. So another win here today, another step closer to Melbourne City extending their domination of this competition when it comes to the premiership. But no doubt the championship, it has eluded them for some time. They haven't won a grand final since 2020, and that no doubt is part of their goals this season under Michael Matriciani. City arriving here off the back of 4 consecutive wins after that upset loss against Canberra United in the middle of December. Well, that seems an age ago now. Wins over Wellington most recently, Sydney, Perth and Melbourne victory. They are forced into the one change after that win over Wellington. Leah Davidson suffered a knee injury in the defeat. She's going to miss the next 6 to 12 weeks. So Carly Rossbacken makes her first start since last season's finals. Kaya Jugovic could be in line for her A-League women's debut off the bench, while second top goal scorer Shelby McMahon was close to a return from injury, but City will give her another week to rest up. One of the stars of this competition is Holly McNamara, just 1 goal off the lead in the Golden Boot race. She scored 15 times to win the crown last year and is well placed to make it back-to-back wins. She scored 7 times this season. Only Annalise Rasmussen has more goals, the Central Coast Mariner, with 8. The only potential stumbling block, though, for McNamara is matches she could miss if she's selected for the Matildas for the Women's Asian Cup. Newcastle have mass changes after that dramatic win against Sydney on Tuesday. Just 3 players retain their starting places, and Elite continues in goal. Tash Pryor will marshal the defence, while Melina Ayres leads the line against the side she won the 2017 championship with. Libby Copus-Brown is the captain in the absence of the ill Cass Davis. Claire Adams also misses with illness, while India Breyer is rested. Charlotte Lancaster scored her 2nd goal of the season, and that one against Canberra in round 1 was pretty important, but the Sydney one just took the cake in stoppage time, securing the Jets all 3 points against Sydney FC and a goal of the season contender as well. It doesn't get much bigger than that. Michael Matriciani feels his side is ahead of where they finished at the end of last season. A concerning sign for the rest of the competition. Under the South Australian, they've lost just twice in 32 Ninja A-League matches. A bright start to Stephen Hoyle's coaching career as well in this competition, but Newcastle did lose 4 on the bounce before that win against Sydney. He's looking to create history this afternoon in Melbourne. Paige Malau, a dually in charge of this one. So for the 20th time in the Ninja A-League, it's Melbourne City and the Newcastle Jets. The Jets hunting their first win over City in the history of this competition, while the home team looking to extend their advantage at the top of the competition. And maybe an early opportunity here for the home team. It evaporates with the help of the assistant referee for Newcastle. And a free kick against Uchendu. There was a little bit of an injury scare last week against Wellington, coming off late in that match, but the Nigerian international back into the starting side for this one. Ten appearances for the national team. One goal against Sydney FC at the start of this year. In that 1-0 win, part of this 4-match winning streak for Melbourne City. Well, that's beautifully brought down by Melina Reyes, looking to release the speed of Kelly Brown. And delivering high, looking for a contest here. Lancaster has an air swing. Airs back into the mixer. Pinball around. Copus Brown. What a chance. They do not come much better than that against the might of Melbourne City, and the Jets captain this afternoon has spurned a huge opportunity. Melbourne City players just standing off, and Copus Brown, she will be thinking about that one all night if Newcastle don't get the job done. Even if they do, she'll probably be still thinking about it. Just 5 goals in 118 previous appearances in the Ninja A-League. You just wonder, is that a little sign of Melbourne City's mindset this afternoon? How do you approach a game where you have absolutely dominated the opposition? 20th meeting, have won 18 and drawn 1 against Newcastle. It's quite a remarkable record. Pressure on Dundas, who's come back into the side. Some rotations for Stephen Hoyle. 8 changes from Tuesday night. And he says a lot of it down to the busy schedule, but also he believes for this side, there's a lot of players at the same level, and he really wants to build up that competition for places. He said at the start of the season he wanted to try and keep a similar starting 11 week to week, but he just felt like the atmosphere in the group was affected by that because there wasn't that same competition for places. He feels like players getting this opportunity, when they earn it week to week in match environments, is the best approach going forward. And well, that win over Sydney FC certainly underlines that. Mass changes after the defeat against the Mariners, where, to be honest, they played pretty well that night. Newcastle a little unlucky to be on the receiving end of a 2-1 defeat. Melbourne City down the left, the speed of Buttress just got tangled up in a key moment there. So I got the A-League statistician, the Australian football statistician, Andrew Howe, absolute legend, to do some deep diving into this record that Melbourne City hold over Newcastle. And the only other similar record in the Australian Women's National League he could find is the South Australian women's side, which was called the Adelaide Sensation. This is in the old women's NSL. So the Adelaide Sensations record against the New South Wales Sapphires, they played 20 times for 7 draws. New South Wales won 13 of those. So 20 matches without a win, but 7 draws in there. Newcastle just that 1 draw in the 19 previous. So that gives you a little bit of context and a bit of history around just how dominant this record is. Lancaster going low, and Otto leaving it for Stott's clearance. This will be a free kick here for Apostolakis. And the only other comparable record in the men's competition, you have to go back to the men's NSL. That was Morwell Falcons' record against South Melbourne. Those two sides played 21 times, 6 draws, and South Melbourne won 15 times. So still, I reckon this is more dominant based on the 18 victories from 19 matches for Melbourne City against Newcastle. So that's the history Newcastle are trying to overturn here at Amy Park tonight. Well, you can hear a little bit of fruity language there from a Melbourne City perspective, but they want this intensity to lift here. Otto. And that's a poor pass to Turner. So Otto, one of only 2 players in the starting side this afternoon remaining from that grand final defeat to Sydney back in 2024. Herself and Rebecca Stott, only players who started in that match, who are starting in this one here today. Just shows you the turnover of players, despite the success at Melbourne City and their ability just to regenerate year on year. Oh, referee gets in the way of Dundas there. She was looking to make a beeline for the ball. Melbourne City profiting from that little moment, but Newcastle looking to win it back through Copus Brown. This is Apostolakis. Keane, a goal scorer against Wellington, knocking it in front of McNamara. The throw-in conceded by Karapedes. McKenna. He used a similar triangle twice there, City, through Keane. And then the deflected cross is going to bring a Melbourne City corner. Well, they haven't scored from a corner this season, Melbourne City. They've got 5 set-piece goals, couple of penalties, couple of indirect free kicks. Newcastle haven't conceded a goal from a corner. Danielle Turner, the left-footed delivery, just pokes it towards the middle of the 18-yard box. McNamara has a lash at it, but it was never staying down for City's leading goal scorer in this competition's history. Overtook Hannah Wilkinson and Brianna Pollicina this season, up to 34 goals in the A-League Women's. McNamara. Wilkinson 29, Pollicina 28. A little bit of a nudge in the back from Olivia Page. On Buttress. So 10 minutes gone here in Melbourne. Libby Copus-Brown with the best of the chances to start this game. Just 2 minutes in, and Melbourne City maybe not at their sharp best. But the problem is they don't have to be at their best. And look at Buttress just leaving Page in her wake. The delivery is low. It is dangerous. Keane off the corner of the goal. And that's how swiftly they can strike. The speed on the left of Buttress and the speed on the right of Keane very nearly resulted in a City lead. This 15-minute window at the start of matches, it has been somewhat of an Achilles heel for the Jets. They've conceded 3 times in this period, which is the worst in the A-League Women's. And the final 15 has also crippled them. So it should have been an advantage, you feel like, after 2 minutes, based on the quality of that chance. And when you are playing against a side like Melbourne City, you have to make the most of those opportunities because they are few and far between. Just 2 losses in 32 Ninja A-League matches under his watch, Michael Matriciani. The cross decent again, Bates his header away. Almost fell for McNamara. It does for McKenna. And it was Pryor that time that shut the door. Copus-Brown working with Page, trying to use that strength against Buttress. And that's going to be an intriguing battle because Page, no doubt, has got the physicality, the strength up against Buttress. But when it turns into a pace battle, Melbourne City winger has got it all over Page. This is Dundas. Just not enough weight on the pass to link with Lancaster. Oh, pounced on this by Lancaster. Newcastle with some numbers forward. Referee gives a free kick, and that will be all. I tell you what, that's a promising situation for the Jets. Look at this. Apostolakis just stumbling on the ball. Newcastle had 4 players there on 3. And on another day, and I'm sure the Jets bench are asking the question about a yellow card. They've given that away very, very cheaply, though, with Chendu. And this is key. Newcastle players converged. And now the clearance from Dundas. Dundas rested for the game against Sydney. Was on the bench with Libby Copus-Brown. Didn't come into the game at all. Stephen Hall keeping them fresh for a busy workload they were expecting today against the competition leaders. So here it is, Buttress against Page. Page tried to show her to the sideline. And again, the pacey winger. Has she earned her side a corner? She hasn't. Well, Karapetis has done excellently well there. But look at this. This is got alarm bells ringing for Newcastle. The ease at which Buttress is able to glide away from Olivia Page. It is just not a fair fight at the moment when it comes to the speed. Melbourne City will be trying to exploit that one-on-one battle for as long as they can. It's almost bore fruit on a couple of occasions here. Well won and well worked this Newcastle down the right. Kelly Brown, numbers in the middle. Lancaster's there, and Lancaster has been denied quite remarkably by Apostolakis this time. Well, Newcastle have had the two best chances of this match. First Copus Brown and the second to Lancaster, but Melbourne City on that occasion with the scramble to deny Newcastle. You just wonder, are these missed opportunities going to come back to bite the Jets? The first, you would say, Copus Brown needed to do better on this occasion, though. You have to credit the work here of Apostolakis. Got herself in position. And Lancaster just couldn't find her strike away from the Melbourne City fullback. There's a reason why she's already played for the Matildas as a teenager. Alexia Apostolakis, certainly a talented player coming through Western Sydney Wanderers. And there could be a head clash here for 18 Keane, who's just reeled away. Referee is going to stop play here. Have a little bit of a check of the health of Keane. Emma Bates doesn't look too fazed by the whole incident. Here it was. Bit of a head clash, really. Keane coming off worse for wear. Bates very nonplussed. Her debut Ninja A-League season. Match number 6 for the Jets Academy product. Spent some time at college in the US, Uni of Louisiana and Texas. She was born in England before moving to Australia at a young age, and it's got her opportunity under Stephen Hoyle this season. Really been a solid performer for Newcastle at the back. So you've got really two contrasting sides here. A City side full of control and efficiency, high pass completion rate and control of matches, and a Newcastle side prepared to be direct and create opportunities, which they have done on a number of occasions this season, but they have also had to soak up a lot of pressure at stages. This apparently has crossed the sideline. Uchendu is arguing the point. Come back for the throw. So you look at Melbourne City. Just crossed the sideline off Newcastle, so Melbourne City throw. Lowest crosses in the competition, so they love to play through sides, Melbourne City. This Newcastle Jets team, 50% shooting accuracy, which was one of the highest in the competition, so they are efficient. Love to create a glut of chances. They really rely on Anna Lead in goals significantly. Those saves in this competition. Hasn't been relied on yet, though, Anna Lead so far. The New Zealand international.
Good pressing, 18, well done, keep it up.
You compare the two keepers, so Leet has faced 179 shots, which is and 44 saves, which is the most in the competition. Then Mira is just 87 shots faced, so just gives you an example of how in control Melbourne City are of the football match. Page flicked around the corner by Copus Brown. And this is Kelly Brown on the stretch. Is he going to track it down? Stephen Hoyle really trying to build the belief for this Newcastle Jets side in the playing group. Just 3 appearances in the finals across the team's history. This now the 18th season of the Ninja A-League, so that gives you an indication. Once every 6 years the Jets make the finals. Never to the grand final. Beaten in the semi-finals by Canberra, Sydney and Melbourne City. You compare that to City, who have won 4 premierships and 4 championships. And they've been in the competition for fewer years than Newcastle. That's what the City Football Group can do. You see the run there. A run of outs, you'd say, for the Jets. 4 straight defeats before that win over Sydney. But to be honest, unlucky against Canberra. The offside goal at the back end of that game. Here's McKenna. And to be honest, that's where Melbourne City have been restricted thus far to strikes from range 22 minutes in. Just really that keen strike which hit the corner of the goal. Outside of that, it's their only other chance. McKenna, that strike from distance, that's as close as they've come since that keen opportunity. Here's Page looking to try and bully Buttress, but what about the skill? McNamara. Turned over by City, so another promising build-up. Disappears to nothing for Melbourne City. Newcastle, you can see that directness, looking to get the ball forward as quickly as possible, trying to catch Melbourne City out. And Buttress again, winning that duel with Page. And the cross has taken a little deflection. This should be a corner, and Uchendu's reaction tells me that it's not. Buttress cannot believe it either. Well, it clearly came off a Jet. There is no doubt about that. And they've gotten away with one there, Newcastle. Here we go. This will give us a beautiful look at it. Karapetis with a boot in. And the Jets have one go their way. As I touched on, yeah, that offside goal to lose against Canberra, and then the controversy around the goal line clearance from Annabelle Martin in the F3 derby, a match they lost 2-1. So they have been there and thereabouts, Newcastle. But as Stephen Hoyle has said this season, you have to earn those results. You cannot rely on luck. And that's what they're attempting to do here. Kelly Brown's cross is a deep one. Copus Brown trying to link up with Ayres. Bates back in towards the mixer. Brown testing out Mires, who makes the save. It wasn't convincing. He thought for a moment it was potentially going to nestle inside that far post. She can hit a football, Kelly Brown. We've seen that this season. 2 goals, an unerring strike from the penalty spot against Brisbane, and similar against the Mariners. So Ayres keeps this one from crossing the byline. Melbourne City prevent the corner. Lancaster. Karapetis. Pryor. Copus Brown. Forward run from Bates. It's out foraged there by Apostolakis, but Lancaster earns it back for the Jets. And just wrong-footed Alexis Collins. Collins made a huge impact off the bench against Sydney. Hasn't been as involved to start this one, the 17-year-old. Really held the ball up well, did Collins, against Sydney. Played some nice passes at the back end of the game, which probably should have earned the Jets the lead even earlier than they received it, courtesy of that Lancaster strike from range. Buttress versus Page again. This time Page closed the angle off. Now, I've just received word from Melbourne City regarding Leah Davidson's injury. This is great news, because Michael Matriciani said in his press conference yesterday that he was expecting Leah Davidson to be out for 6 to 12 weeks. Well, surgery went very well yesterday. It's only going to be a month now for Leah Davidson, which is absolutely fantastic news. We know she's had long-term injuries in the past with that knee, so she will be back well and truly before finals. So that is a welcome boost. I have 3 out with a knee injury at the moment: McMahon, Hughes and Carrick. McMahon, though, expected to be back this week, potentially. They're taking on Brisbane on Tuesday and then travel to Perth and Adelaide. 3 away matches to come. So you can expect to see McMahon very, very soon. Kostelakis, silky turn. Keane, Uchendu. Newcastle receiving the whistle. So what an intriguing 27.5 minutes to start this game. City, yes, more possession, more control. But Newcastle the better chances. But chances mean nothing if they go unconverted. That's an interesting stat as well. Fouls. Melbourne City, lowest foul count in the competition, but more than Newcastle today. Does that give you an indication of where things are at the moment? McNamara from distance. Again, another attempted strike from distance from Melbourne City. Spills for Keane. This is McKenna. Kostelakis looking to swing in across, back onto the left. McNamara being watched by Karapetis, links with McKenna. Oh, leaping to a right. And that is exactly what Melbourne City can do. McKenna, who scored the opener against Wellington. She's got the hot foot at the moment, and she very nearly opened the scoring again here at Amy Park. And Anna Leet just underlining her quality in goal. Gee, she's been magnificent for the Jets this season. There's another save for her this season. And Page wins that little duel, that time with Buttress. There's one back for the Newcastle Jet. The 108-time New Zealand international, Stotts, finding the Spaniard in Mires. Melbourne City looking to go long here. Buttress is in behind down the left, but McNamara has shifted it to the right instead. Another speedster in Keane. Was there a missed opportunity, though, for City? Only time will tell. 1-on-1 v Bates here. Dangerous situation. Apostolakis, Uchendu's header. McNamara not really an aerial threat. And Newcastle sum up the situation well. So here's that save from Leap, but just moments ago, Melbourne City with another chance off the back of that opportunity for McKenna. McNamara had the chance to play in Buttress down the left, who had no one around her, and we know the speed of Buttress. We've already seen that on show this season a number of times. What a first season she's having. The Victorian junior in the Ninja A-League, Danella Buttress. Now it's City having to soak up some pressure. Dundas, just not on the same wavelength there as Collins or Brown. So Melbourne City more possession. More touches inside the opposition box. Probably say shots on target there. So that great chance for Lancaster for Newcastle. Oh, here's a turnover. Here's Collins! And the save from Mires, but this time it's in for Newcastle, and it's Kelly Brown. The third goal of the season for the football third. What a campaign she's having for the Jets. And the underdogs are in front on the road. And you cannot say they do not deserve it. Melbourne City sloppy at the back. Ayres, what a touch that was onto Collins. But they could not scramble enough to deny Kelly Brown. Coming into this season, she's scored 5 goals in the Ninja A-League. She's already got 3 in 10 for the campaign. And I don't know if there's been many more important than that one. Against a Melbourne City side that Newcastle have never beaten in the history of this competition. But they lead here. Well, she's done it at NPL New South Wales level, Kelly Brown. Golden boot with Macarthur Rams. 16 goals in 2024. Won the grand final. Scored a goal in the grand final win under Stephen Peters. Spent some time there in Perth. Come back to be closer to home. And she has stepped up massively this season. Melbourne City looking to strike back. Buttress with the cross. Uchendu, first chance, second chance. Leach is on it. Well, that should have been 1-1. And that is a real missed opportunity for Melbourne City. Again, it's Buttress running rings around Page here this afternoon. Once, twice, 3 times. And now Brown making Mires work for it here. She's had a really good start to this game. Kelly Brown playing wide right. Really stretching City on that side. Got Kelly Brown sort of playing as that wide right midfielder, Lancaster wide left. Collins and Ayres up top, and we have seen Brown play up top as a striker this season, but Stephen Hoyle wanting her in that wide role really to stretch City with her pace and maybe try and pin Buttress back. But while Buttress isn't being pinned back, Brown is finding that space in behind her. So while she has been dominant going forward, need to find a way to shut down the influence of Kelly Brown. Here's maybe another chance here. Oh, and that was dangerous. Well, she hasn't really had a good chance on goal this afternoon, Melina Ayres, but she's done just about everything else. Her pressure, her presence, her touches have been exquisite. That time a little heavy on Rebecca Stott. Just letting her know she's in a contest. Work from Copus Brown. You can see why Stephen Hoyle has rotated his side, because Copus Brown and Dundas didn't play Tuesday. They are full of running here in Melbourne today. Cara Peters, same story. Emma Bates, Olivia Page as well coming in. He said to them in their pre-match chat, you've got no pressure on you this afternoon. Go out, have a free swing. No one expects you to win. Brown from the sunshine into the shade. Lancaster early delivery. This will be a throw for the Jets. So records this season when scoring/conceding the first goal. Newcastle, it's an absolute mixed bag. When they've scored first, they've won 2 and lost 2. And City, when they've conceded first, they've won 1, drawn 1 and lost 1. So, you know what? The trends tell you absolutely nothing about what's going to happen, and that's just how you like it. Shows you both of these two sides are very resilient depending on the situation. Same story with the Jets. When they have conceded first, they've come back and won on a couple of occasions. City, though, when they have scored first, they are 5 from 5. So that is that's a fill-up for the Jets. That didn't happen this afternoon. So Olivia Page here to throw the Kiwi Youth International to the Kiwi full international in Kelly Brown. Four Kiwis in their side today for the Jets. Leet, Page, Lancaster and Brown. McNamara getting no change out of Dundas, who runs the other way for Newcastle after pinching the ball. Lancaster looking to find some width after she was a little central there. McKenna linking with Uchendu. Space here for City to run into. It's just a tad behind Keane. She had to slow up at the overlap coming from Apostolakis. Keane onto the left. Blocked by Pryor. Oh, the hands were in front of the body, but the referee says penalty. Well, can you believe that? Oh, that looks like a very, very harsh call. We'll have to have a look at it on replay. There's no VAR, so it will stand unless the assistant says something. But have a look at this. The arm's in front of the body. There is no way that's a penalty. But it's been given against Newcastle. Well, Pryor's going to go into the book here. A yellow card. Well, she's going to have to contain her anger here. But it's a very, very harsh call. McNamara to go level in the Golden Boot race. And scores. No mistake from the Mac. She's dead level at the top in the Golden Boot race. Pryor has steam coming out of her ears. And it is 1-1 in Melbourne. It is one of the most baffling penalty decisions you will probably see this season. But Melbourne City take full advantage, and that's what champion sides do. McNamara unerring with a penalty. So continues her lead at the top of the leading goal scorer charts for Melbourne City. So she's level now with Annalise Rasmussen. And in the minutes before halftime, Melbourne City draw themselves level. Now this is going to be interesting. How do Newcastle react to that decision? Because it can go one of two ways from here. It can swiftly unravel with the frustration of that penalty decision, or they can be galvanised to go to another level. So which way does this one play out here at Amy Park? Melbourne City back into their groove here. Uchendu, oh, that's silky. The link up with McNamara, looking for the quick release here for Buttress. Can they try and make it 2-1 before half-time here? Melbourne City. Buttress just stumbles. Don't believe there was any touch there from Page. A little look here. Now it looked as though just got a boot caught in the grass there. Brown and Copus Brown. This is Buttress again. Kelly Brown, good endeavour there, getting back to make sure of her defensive responsibilities. Copus Brown with some space to roam into now. And Turner able to start this link up for Melbourne City. We know the pace they have on this right edge through Keane. Uchendu continuing it centrally. Keane just delaying for a moment, trying to get onto that left boot. 18 Keane, it was blocked off again. Bates has had a really good match for Newcastle thus far. Now it's Melina Ayres going the other way, up against her old teammate in Rebecca Stott. Searching for that early delivery. She did see Alexis Collins free at the back post, just couldn't get it there though. And we'll find out. What an intriguing first half this has been. A really good watch here at Amy Park. And we've got a couple of minutes of additional time. Kelly Brown's opener for the Jets cancelled out by Holly McNamara's penalty. Leeds has already got a goal assist this year. Looking for another one maybe is Collins. shoulder to shoulder with Stott. Well, there's youth versus experience for you. 32-year-old Stott against the 17-year-old Collins. And the football Fern winning out. She kept coming though, Collins.
Ollie! Come underneath! Come underneath! Danny! Come inside, Danny! Come inside, Danny!
You can see Melbourne City wanting McNamara to come underneath and Putras to come inside. So they look to play it out from the back. Chendu presenting herself to the ball. Look at Pryor, how high Pryor has pushed up the pitch. Earns the turnover. Ayres with the snapshot. And well defended by Otto. That is expert defending, and Ayres is just getting herself in every contest here. Oh, what a first half this has been. Cannot wait for the second on the way. Melbourne City, can they fashion one final chance of the half? That would be a real sucker punch for Newcastle. This pass is going to stretch Apostolakis right to the sideline. Final seconds of the first half. Apostolakis, and it's turned over. Dundas pinches it for the Jets. Can they move it quickly? It would seem not. Dundas, play on here. Will the referee continue play here for this Newcastle counter-attack? She will. And it's Page with the delivery, or attempted delivery. And in the end, it comes to naught. And that should be that in the first half, maybe not. That will be half-time at Amy Park. And this was that collision there, Dundas and Keane. And Keane just coming off a little worse for wear. She's back to her feet now. And that is half-time. Kelly Brown's third goal of the season put Newcastle in front, but it was Holly McNamara who went level in the Golden Boot race after a controversial penalty. Controversial with a capital C. Natasha Pryor going into the book for a yellow card, her first of the season. She was absolutely furious. So too the Newcastle Jets. Half-time at Amy Park. Melbourne City 1. Newcastle Jets 1.
Spectators must comply with the 8 leagues terms and conditions, venues, conditions of entry.
And let's have a look at the highlights from that first half. And this was a battle we were keeping a keen eye on in the first half. Danella Buttress versus Olivia Page. And set up this Melbourne City chance. And that was after Copus Brown spurned an opportunity wide in the opening 2 minutes. And then look at this build-up from the Jets. Kelly Brown setting up Lancaster. Well, she produced the Lancaster bomb on Tuesday. Couldn't roll it in there amid the pressure of Apostolakis. Kelly Brown forced a good save here out of Mires. It wasn't convincing. And these were just Newcastle just mounting the case before McKenna forced Leet into another diving save this season. And then Newcastle's pressure, well, it just told in the end. Collins and Ayres linking up before Brown converted past a sprawling Mires. And Newcastle deserved that lead. There was absolutely no doubt about it. But then came the real talking point of the first half after Kelly Brown's first of the afternoon. Pryor with the arms against the body. It has to be seen to be believed, really. It has to be seen to be believed, that penalty decision. But Holly McNamara, as you would expect from a player of her quality, no mistake. Pryor clapping the referee's decision in rather a sarcastic way. And at half-time, it is Melbourne City 1, Newcastle Jets 1. Don't be fooled by the XG, because of course that penalty bumps it up for Melbourne City. So if you look at the chances outside of that, Newcastle was probably the better of them. But just a contrast of styles, Melbourne City and Newcastle. And what a first half we witnessed at Amy Park. So half-time, it is 1-1 between City and the Jets.
18 years and over can take the AMY driving test now for your chance to win big prizes. Follow the QR code below for your chance to win. For full terms and conditions, see amy.com.au/AMY driving test.
Am I like looking at you? Sure. Hey, city fans, play this game with me. It's called spelling. English is not my strong suit. I'm just gonna spell it. We're going to be over there.
It is half-time here at AMY Park at the moment. Standing by with one of our Melbourne City families. You're going to introduce us to your family. What is your name?
My name is Brad.
We have Brad here. Who are you here with?
My dad, sister, and mom.
Perfect, Brad. We decided to a little bit earlier on. This is the Melbourne City Spelling Bee. It's half-time at the moment between Melbourne City and the Newcastle Jets. In front of your parents, what are your spelling skills like? Okay, so City fans, we are going to test Raph and get him to spell one of the hardest names in the history of the A-League women. It is Alexia Apostolakis. So don't worry about Alexia. Raph, we want you to have a go at spelling Apostolakis. Do you think you can do that? Take your time. Let's go. You got that one, right? Got it right again. Not quite, but keep going. Okay, let's get that. Apostolakis. Try to spell it out there. Tap that, right? It is a very hard name. Make some noise for around for you, please, City fans. As we now take a look at the big screen and see how our girls spell Alexia Apostolakis. I can't even say it. See the video.
We're going to be over there. A-P-O-S-T-A-L-A-K-I-S. A-P-O-S.
Welcome back to Melbourne, where it is an absorbing battle here at AMY Park between the Newcastle Jets and Melbourne City. The Jets looking to beat City for the first time in the history of this competition. And it is 1-1 at half-time. Brown and McNamara are the goal scorers at AMY Park. In the 20th meeting between these two, it's a stat that has to be seen to be believed. 18 wins for City, 1 draw in this fixture down the years. Now, Newcastle's Tash Pry, well, she was at the centre of all the action in the first half. She's faced plenty of highs and lows in her football career. A concussion and medical advice sidelined her for several years, but she returned fitter and stronger, shaped by the lessons she learned along the way.
Yeah, I had a pretty gnarly concussion, and it, I guess, forced me into an early retirement. I was getting pretty bad nosebleeds and headaches and all those kind of like standard concussion things. But I had a pretty good team of doctors around me who said you need to chill for a little bit and see how you feel in a few years, so which is what I did, and then lucky enough to come back. I think that kind of forced me to face kind of real life and, you know, get a normal outside of football job. And I was lucky enough to do that and build my career outside of football. I guess football never felt like a closed chapter for me. I'd never intended to leave the sport. And so when my professional career kind of took off a little bit, I felt like I was in a good spot to go back to football. It had been about 4 years properly. I went to watch I think a World Cup game with my dad, and I just wanted to play again. So I started playing locally and then played W League again, and then obviously got the call into the Matildas. So it's been quite a long time, but it's also happened quite quickly. And I feel pretty lucky and thankful for the injury, even though it kind of sucked. But I think it's really helped me develop holistically, and I feel pretty lucky that I can focus on football knowing that I've got something else after as well. Yeah, I think it's just given me more confidence. It's something I feel really lucky to have. It makes me feel confident, like I can take my football into work and, you know, bring things from work into football.
First one to the chest of Pryor. She stood strong.
And I think overall it's made me a bit more patient and just kind of taking hits as they come. And I think I'm probably a bit more well equipped to deal with what happens from a work perspective and a football perspective. Hopefully. I mean, I was like 19 when it happened, so hopefully in my old age of 27, I'm a bit stronger, yeah.
Thank you.
Tash Pryor, of course, vying for selection to be part of the upcoming Women's Asian Cup. Here's a reminder of what lies ahead.
1, 2, 3, best believe I got something up my sleeve. I'm a queen and I'm coming for my throne. Should've known your days were numbered. It's my turn, watch and learn.
Oh, I say it's incredible!
Asia's Best all begins March 1, the Women's Asian Cup, and you can catch it all live right here on Paramount Plus and Network 10. We cannot wait for that to begin in less than a couple of months now, about 6 weeks away. Now, let's have a look back at the goals from the first half of this one. Newcastle Jets, as we've mentioned throughout the call, looking for that elusive first win against Melbourne City. Melbourne, 10 wins from 10 against the Jets in Victoria. And this is the way it started for the Jets. Kelly Brown just after the half-hour mark, her 3rd goal of the season, before Melbourne City hit back. And look at that. Yes, I know you're watching that going, what happened there? Well, that was a penalty. Pryor's arms in front of her body. Referee said it was a penalty. McNamara converted. 8 goals for the season for Holly Mack, so leading the Golden Boot race with Annalise Rasmussen. Don't forget tonight, doubleheader, Western Sydney taking on Brisbane. That's almost must-win stakes for Wanderers. Then the Pride match, Adelaide United and Melbourne Victory tomorrow. United and the Knicks also tomorrow night in the capital. That's the Capital Clash before the Mariners entertain Perth Glory on Sunday. Alrighty, well, we are looking forward to the second half of this one. City and the Jets coming your way. Can Newcastle end this winless run against Melbourne City, or will City extend their lead at the top? You'll find out next right here on Paramount Plus.
With the Isuzu MU-X SUV, everyday life doesn't have to be every day at all. Mom, how do you live in the Isuzu MU-X?
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors everywhere. You see, eToro really is everywhere.
So more than 40 million people worldwide can invest anytime, anywhere with eToro.
Live in your own words. It's different. Live with everything.
no watered down drinks. No blending means smooth, perfect texture. Just pour, slush, and enjoy. 5 one-touch programs for any drink you want. Transform almost anything. Enjoy perfect results every time. You can make it with a Ninja Slushie.
Half-time here at the moment. The second half not too far away, and we're going to come back to half-time. Heroes, who am I here with? What is your name? Emma and? Emma and Zoe. What's your favourite thing about playing football?
I really like how you get to play as a team and you really get to connect with your players.
Absolutely. What about yourself, Zoe?
I like sharing with my teammates and having a great time.
Absolutely. Now, we're out here on the evening like this, our girls come back out. Is the dream maybe to one day play in the A-League just like these Melbourne City girls out here at the moment?
It's great to have your company here on a beautiful day in Melbourne. Melbourne City hosting the Newcastle Jets. City on a 4-match winning run, looking to extend their lead at the top to 4 competition points with a game in hand over Canberra. But all the talking point at the first half, well, in regards to the first half, was this moment here for Natasha Pryor. Keen strike straight into the arm against the body of Natasha Pryor. You do not see Natasha Pryor get as angry as that. She was absolutely furious with the decision. She's trying to remain calm now. Newcastle, the only benefit I can think of for the Jets from that whole incident is it happened right before half-time. So they just had a chance to get the message from Stephen Hoyle and calm down. All eyes on the referee. Paige Malau-Adouli, 10th A-League women's appearance for her this afternoon. So second half underway. And the players will be hoping they get to do the talking in this second half to decide the result of this one. Because what a first half we witnessed. No changes for either side at the break. Can Newcastle put that setback behind them to cause an upset, or will Melbourne City just keep rolling this season? Get some width offered by Lancaster. It's a little awkward against the sideline. Now it's Melbourne City, a little frustrated with the referees. No uncertain terms making clear that the ball hadn't crossed the sideline. Page going to resume her battle with Buttress. This time sends Karapetis off down the right. The goal scorer from that first half, Brown. Oh, there's a problem here for City. Looked to happen off the ball. Well, City didn't put it out, so the Jets don't put it out, and Dundas has sliced that one just wide. Well, I think City were trying to get the Jets to put it out, and they said, well, you didn't put it out, so we'll keep playing. And this happened off the ball, it seemed, from Danella Buttress. This is the incident here with Karapetis. Doesn't look like, was there an arm in the face there? And then City didn't put it out, so the Jets said, all right, well, we'll have a crack here. And I tell you what, that would have been a controversial moment as well in this second half. Had Newcastle scored, City would have been absolutely furious. Didn't look like there was a whole lot going on in the contact there with Karapetis. Maybe there was an arm or an elbow potentially. Matriciani watching on. Will he have to make an early change potentially? It would be a huge blow for City, because Buttress has been excellent. Her pace causing headaches for Olivia Page in the first half. Just have a look at this. Just burning past Page on a number of occasions. It's a player who is just 18 years of age, played her NPL with Bull Lane, and has represented the Aussie under-17s. This was this matchup. She was loving life versus Page when it came to a foot race. Maybe not so much if it was a physical battle. And maybe potentially this could be a concussion. So does that open up the possibility of Melbourne City using a concussion sub? It's not going to matter anyway unless they had to use their goalkeeper, because there's only 5 outfield players on the bench. And there's the former Newcastle Jet and Devon Jackson. Left the club last season after 6 goals in 18 appearances. Mainly used off the bench this year by City. Well, this is taking quite some time, so you would think this is the concussion test for Danella Buttress. So here it is. The only thing you can really see there is maybe a push. And potentially the landing there of Buttress on the left side of her head. And the whiplash. So we'll at the end of the section. Shab Roshan there, the 4th official. Going to speak with her, and Melbourne City doctor as well. So City down to 10 for the moment. Let's see if that change does take place. Meanwhile, it's Keane. Hasn't got quite as much change out of Emma Bates down the left edge for the Jets as Auckland FC. The Black Knights are in the house. 7:35 kickoff against Melbourne City. That is a heavyweight meeting in the Isuzu Ute A-League. The Black Knights sitting up the top of that competition. Melbourne City, of course, the defending champions, the premiers and the champions. Auckland first, City 6th on the table, but a win for City could take them as high as 3rd. And last season, they met twice, 2-2 draw, and an Auckland 3-0 win. So City looking for their first win over the Black Knights. So just confirming here, no changes for the Jets, just that yellow card for Tash Pryor for her protests against the penalty decision. Keane's delivery is not online, and Melbourne City don't put in a lot of crosses. And Keane not nailing that one. Maybe you give a tick to Newcastle for not allowing that space in behind. And again, it's a frustrated looking McNamara. It's been that kind of afternoon for Melbourne City. So Leak launching up towards Collins. Dundas wants Lancaster to use some width on the left. Pryor was under some pressure, so decided to pop it over the top. Not quite the same intensity of the press from Newcastle early in their second half. Did see them really make Melbourne City think twice, playing out from the back in that first half. Dundas has been industrious, as she always is. Copus Brown. Brown looking for the 1-2 who with Ayres, and now it's a foot race, but Rossbacken, being a fullback in a past life, is always going to win that race against Brown. Newcastle to be readying a replacement. Lauren Allen receiving some instructions. And we're being told it's Olivia Page, whose number will most likely come up unless they make a last-minute change of mind. And that would somewhat combat that speed imbalance between Page and Buttress. But there maybe one final opportunity here for Buttress to try and exploit that down the left, across. Hit away by Pryor. And Page over the sideline. Still Newcastle holding that change for the moment. Keane will get another bite at the cherry here. 18 Keane. Well, if it's not for Dundas, well, Emma Dundas, gee whiz. And look at it on that occasion. Once again, wins the foul. Immediately, what's the next job? 18 years of age. Just a player that they can build this side around. So Olivia Page replaced, and yes, she was given and put under a lot of pressure by Buttress. They didn't concede a goal down that avenue. You've got to give her a tick as well in those physical battles with Buttress. She was winning those. So Lauren Allen with a bit more pace comes into that contest. So how will that change things? From a City perspective, oh, Lancaster went down with a yelp. Keane's also limping. So both ankles coming together. Chendu, nice piece of skill, but just left it a little bit short, and you cannot leave it short when Dundas is in the vicinity there. It's the Dundas doorway of desperation, and now she shoots. Oh, this second half from Emma Dundas. Look at this. Again, the industry, the endeavour, wins it off McKenna. Scored a couple of times in the Ninja A-League, last coming in March at the back end of last season. Oh, little chip over the top from Keane. It's a smart play. Pryor has to come out and close the situation down. Now it's Allen. Awkward situation. And got the clearance over the sideline. She could feel Buttress breathing down her neck. Buttress knows she is in a little battle here with Allen and ruffles the cross into. She did well again, but she's still feeling that neck slash back of her head after that fall earlier in this second half. But look at this, even Lauren Allen, done by the agility and technical ability of Buttress. Gee, we're seeing some of the next gen starring here. Buttress, the 18-year-old. Dundas, also an 18-year-old. McNamara, just 22 years of age. A goal for her. So the ball looked like it was knuckling there towards Otto. And it will be another corner here for City. Mentioned in the first half. Haven't scored from a corner this season. Newcastle haven't conceded from a corner. So is it more likely to happen now? This time it's too deep. Well, off the back of the head of McNamara. She totally lost sight of it. That might get a spot on the bloopers tape. Now, that was the one off the snoz, I think, of Ayres. That ball was moving all over the place. That was the previous corner. Or the McNamara one off the back of the head, maybe off the ponytail. Here it was. I tell you what, her teammates will be giving it to her over that. Stephen Hoyle, he's got to be proud of what his side has produced this afternoon. But he knows a proud defeat's not enough when it comes to the competition table. Need to pick up points. Keane just getting her feet in another tangle. McKenna. McKenna again able to shoot, but scuffed the strike on goal. Buttress again likes the look of Allen. Another step over, and Allen stood her ground, but Buttress is able to get the shot away eventually. She's just an absolute pleasure to watch, Daniela Buttress. Couple of goals in the AFC Women's Champions League. None yet in the Ninja A-League. You feel like it's not far away, though. He was born in Iraq. Played at youth football at Roxburgh Park United. Otto saves the plaudits from the bench after earning the ball off. Well, now she's run it over the sideline amid the pressure of Copus Brown. Stephen Hoyle wants his side on the ball a little more here. Feels like Melbourne City are just finding some momentum. Who is going to that next level? So inside the final half hour. Allen in front of Buttress. Not enough of a tug to earn the whistle of the referee. And now Buttress is in behind Allen. McNamara in the middle, but Allen. Well, that's excellently done from Lauren Allen. Could not make a mistake in that part of the field. Buttress is still really struggling. So it's a credit to her for what she's produced since that injury issue. And McNamara is offside. That's a frustrating one for City. Didn't seem like she wanted to get involved there, Holly McNamara. I think she knew. So 5 of City's goals this season have come in this window of the match, this 15-minute window between the hour mark and the 75th minute mark. Fitness really coming into play. We know they have wonderful resources. They pride themselves on the back end of matches. Running at home the stronger. And Newcastle, and they do concede late. But can they turn the tables when it comes to that statistic here today at Amy Park? So another change being readied by the Jets. The ball poked over the top at Leeds. He's sweeping. So Sophie Hoban about to come into the game for Alexis Collins. Hoban, another player who Stephen Hall doesn't want to make her play the 4 matches in 11 days. Of course, they've got to play against Adelaide United on Wednesday next week. She had a delayed start to the season with that quad injury. No doubt one of the Jets' best, of course, after winning Player of the Year award last year. So what kind of impact could she have in the final 26.5 plus stoppage time? Copus Brown did well to nudge that forward. You can see they've got a couple of home matches, the Jets, Adelaide and Wellington, before trips to Melbourne Victory in Western Sydney. Allen and Collins, maybe one of her final involvements in this game. Copus Brown, it was a heavy touch. It was pounced on by Ross Backen. And will this give Newcastle a chance to make a change? Melbourne City also keen on a change as well. It would seem that Butcheress's afternoon is done, as we just see that wonderful industry there from Ross Backen. Up against Copus Brown. So Collins replaced by Hoban. We'll just have a look at how that changes things for the Jets. Will it push Kelly Brown further up the pitch? Would seem not. It would seem that Hoban is just going to play alongside Ayres, really try and push this Newcastle press forward. Ayres put under pressure. And Brown. So Butcheress as well stays out there, but I told Briley Henry about to make her way on. Hoban, early delivery. Herring back after it. Lauren Allen. Hoban, the energy comes with the introduction of Hoban, doesn't it? Miss clearance. Lancaster couldn't produce another spectacular strike in as many matches. But you can just feel the intensity lift there from Newcastle with the press and the presence of their Player of the Year last season, Sophie Hoban. So here is the change we mentioned a moment ago. So Butcheress replaced. What an afternoon she had. A constant threat. And Briley Henry, who's been dealing with a back injury to start this season. A couple of appearances off the bench for her now in the new year. Oh, and pitched by the Jets. Copus Brown makes Melbourne City pay. It's an absolute calamity at the back. From the back-to-back defending premiers and Libby Copus Brown. She missed that chance in the first half. She wasn't spurning that opportunity. It is a rare, rare goal, but it could be a vital one for the Jets captain. And look at this, the pressure. And once again, you just wonder how much you put that down to the introduction of Hoban. She pushes on, puts the pressure on. Ayres does likewise. Copus Brown, so reliable, the midfielder. So often she does the grunt work. Today, she's put Newcastle into a winning position with just over 23 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. So, that makes things very, very interesting. Melbourne City trying to go after an equaliser, remembering that Newcastle have never beaten Melbourne City ever in the history of this competition.
Zoe,
19 previous meetings, City 18 wins, 1 draw. Stephen Hoyle said to his side in the pre-match meeting this afternoon, go and have a free swing. No one expects you to win this one. And they're in front with just over 20 minutes to play, the Jets. So this is what it would mean for the ladder. All of a sudden, Canberra right back in it in that race for the premiership. Newcastle inside the 6, but there is so much time to play out here. And Melbourne City have got so many threats. Henry, who's come off the bench, earns a corner for City. They will just keep coming. So Apostolakis, not too much breeze to speak about. Drives it towards that back post, and it comes off the header of Keane. And this has been the story of Melbourne City today. Just not quite as cohesive as we expect. Now, I just heard Zoe in the effects mic. I just wonder whether the Jets are about to make another change. Maybe Karapetis might be coming off. A little bit of eavesdropping down on the bench. Wait and see whether that takes place. Leak going along once again. Oh, hang on. We've got a rogue sponge here blowing onto the field. Well, what's happened here? How has that found its way on?
This doesn't happen again, please.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, like make sure it happens, put something around it.
Is that the wind? I don't know what's happened there. The sponge around camera 3 downstairs, and it's blown onto the pitch. You don't see that every day of the week. There's another one for A-League moments of the year. So Sophie Hoban, the fresh legs of Hoban, wins the foot race. Oh, the link up from Ayres. Lancaster! 2-2 for the Kiwi striker, and the Jets are in dreamland. They have never beaten Melbourne City in 19 previous attempts, and now they lead 3-1 on the road. Are they about to make history? Is Stephen Hoyle's team about to cause a major upset in Melbourne? What about the link up from Ayres? And it wasn't quite the Lancaster bomber we saw on Tuesday night, but it was just as effective. Oh, the Kiwis are coming up big for the Jets this season. Brown in the first half, Lancaster in the second. So can Melbourne City produce a remarkable turnaround? Of any side in this competition, they are most likely to pull back a 3-1 deficit. So it looks as though it's Ellie Wilson, defender, going to come on here for Melbourne City. So this will be interesting to see how they change things up. Now, just having a look here this record here. Newcastle Jets against Melbourne City. 3 goals for the Jets against Melbourne City. And a matchup where they've never previously won.
Yes, Carly. Yes, Lex.
Just having a look where they have ever scored 3 goals against Melbourne City. No, they have not. Most goals they've ever scored against City is 2 in the history of this competition. So another bit of history made here as Ellie Wilson comes into the game for Rossbacken. So will she slot straight into that defensive midfield role? It would seem not. It looks as though it's Apostolakis who is heading there. So McKenna pushing numbers forward here, Melbourne City. Trying to chance their arm. McNamara. Riley Henry. And the touch just a little too heavy, but Melbourne City able to recycle it here through Turner. Oh, McNamara taken down by Karapetis. It's in a promising position here for Melbourne City. They don't have the likes of Rana Policina, though, the dead ball specialist. Letitia McKenna coming over to take. And Karapetis, she's really been excellent. It's hard to fault a Jets player this afternoon. So final 15-minute, this 15-minute window where Newcastle have conceded 4 times. A danger period for them this season. McKenna's free kick and plucked out of the sky by Leet. So it is the second worst in the competition, this final 15-minute window for the Jets in terms of goals conceded. Against a team who can really exploit at the back end of matches. Copus Brown has scored the goal to put Newcastle back in front 2-1. Taking the captain's armband today from Cass Davis, who's sick, so we wish Cass all the best in her recovery. So too Claire Adams. They've had the same vomiting bug that coach Stephen Hoyle experienced this week. Just recovered to be well enough to take his place on the sideline this afternoon. Look at Hoban crunching in there to Otto. Brown goes to the top corner. And it's a lazy one, isn't it, from Kelly Brown, because you can see the frustration from Ayres and also from Hoban, who felt they were in better positions here. Hoban did all the hard work. And then Brown undid it in that moment. Was thinking about the headlines there. A 4-1 lead and a double. So Karapetis, once again, has been everywhere. You think about, haven't even mentioned it today, Claudia Chico out of this side with the yellow card accumulation. And it's because that defence, that back line, to this point, have not missed a trick. Just shows you the depth that Stephen Hoyle has at his disposal for the Jets this season. Copus Brown, again, the industry of Hoban, earns the Jets back possession. Brown versus Turner. The cutback option is there. Brown's desperation, spills for Dundas. Dundas! Got the power behind it. Not quite the accuracy. Well, you've got players like Emma Dundas who have supported this team growing up. 18 years of age. Josie Allen on the bench today, another Newcastle junior. Alexis Collins, who played today for years. They've watched Melbourne City dominate Newcastle. And today they got the chance to step up to the plate and try and turn the tables. And this is the situation they're in here, Newcastle. A fourth would basically seal it, but Hoban just leaves it short on Ayres. Libby Copus-Brown, her 6th or 7th goal in the Ninja A-League. A little bit debated. Opta-Stats have 7 now. Andy Howe, the Australian football statistician, has 6. So take your pick, but one thing that is for sure is that it's a rare goal. But how vital could it prove, that goal that made it 2-1 to Newcastle? McKenna, oh, Dundas. Just winning the midfield battle. They have just fought in midfield, Newcastle. They've absolutely dominated in the middle of the park. Dundas, Copus-Brown. And it just underlines the point we made in the first half about Stephen Hoyle rotating his side. So Dundas and Copus-Brown did not play on Tuesday against Sydney. Cass Davis playing there, Hoban starting in midfield. And the reason? Competition for places, but also giving his players a rest with 4 games in 11 days. And you have to say to this point, has a huge tick of approval. So the early delivery, chested down by Allen. Postelakis through Henry. The Nigerian international. Uchendu just hasn't been her afternoon. It hasn't been Melbourne City's day. Newcastle have just outworked them. And you can see Michael Matriciani. No defeats in the regular season last year for his side. Is it about to be their second in the first 9 matches this campaign? You can see they've been pretty even. Right and left. Probably more so right in the second half, or since Buttress has left the field. Just cannot find their passes. The Newcastle press has just suffocated them. Look at that passing accuracy. So usually Melbourne City, their passing accuracy the best in the comp, usually around sort of the 78-80% mark. Got to have the ability, though, to press for the entire match. And Newcastle have just managed those moments well. When to go, when to hold, when to absorb pressure. And look at Copus-Brown. It's the 82nd minute. She sprints across and clears it into the grandstand. What was potentially developing into a dangerous moment. Second ball on the field. They should have to be altered. Referee gets rid of it. Play on here for City. Henry. This match is not gone if they can snag one here, Melbourne City. 2-goal margin, extremely dangerous. Don't need to be reminded of that. 3-goal margin's dangerous, as we've seen this season with the Mariners and Melbourne victory. And there was less time in that match than we've got here today. So anything could still happen. This is the Ninja A-League. Dundas, Lancaster. Poking out again there for the goalkeeper. Up high over the head. Hoban holding up the ball. He's managed this match so well, Sophie Hoban, since coming into the game late on. And Melina S, she has just worked tirelessly at the top. Melina S was benched for that F3 derby against the Mariners. Stephen Hoyle said, well, that was all about that competition for places. And since that dropping, Melina S, well, she just stepped up to another level. I just feel like this is a team that is getting more and more belief as the weeks pass. McNamara through the legs of Brown. Henry shut down by Allen. Otto and a whistle for City. So will they make another change here? So Devon Jackson. This is an interesting one here. Another Kiwi coming into the game, replacing 18 Keane. Not as much opportunity this season at Melbourne City. Just her 7th appearance, but only 1 start. So it's been restricted to an impact role this year. Devon Jackson, after 6 goals in 18 last year for Newcastle. Left the club at the end of last season. Issue here for McNamara, who's clutching at her head. She copped one here, maybe a head clash. So Karapetis. Oh, maybe an elbow there from Karapetis. McNamara's okay at the moment. Looked accidental from that angle. Jackson in that battle with Dundas, and Jackson winning out. The cross floated to Henry, whose header. It was a tough one, wasn't it, when she was off balance. Momentum going away from goal. To crane the neck and get that back on target. So don't forget, straight after this one, double header in the A-League tonight at Amy Park. City hosting Auckland FC. City have never beaten Auckland, but the Jets came into this one. They hadn't beaten Melbourne City, so maybe it's one of those nights at Amy Park. Of course, a little bit more history in this fixture. City and Auckland have only played the twice, so it's the premiers against the champions in the A-League men coming up next. And we've also got some more football tonight across the board. Ninja A-League, Isuzu A-League. It's a jam-packed night of football. Western Sydney Wanderers and Brisbane coming up from 7 p.m. Wanderers Football Park. Catch that one right here. Uchendu. Maybe a late hope here for City. It'll be a corner. So just to finish that off, Wanderers and Brisbane, 7 p.m. tonight in the A-League women. And then the men, Perth Glory and Brisbane. Michael Valkanis will not be on the sideline. He's gone back to Greece for a family emergency. So Lemma will be on the sideline for Brisbane. Some storylines for tonight. So Melbourne City, though, to try and pull one back. Their 5th corner of the night. Turner left it a bit short. Lancaster away. Appeals here for City. Up gets Wilson and almost just willed the ball into the back of the net there, Ellie Wilson. The grand finalist from last season with Melbourne Victory, making the move across town And she's had shoulder surgery and concussion delayed her debut this season. Well, you expect she'll be back in the starting side sooner rather than later, based on just her tenacity. They really needed that today, Melbourne City. Just has been a little bit lacking. I wonder whether that record against the Jets may have seeped into their thinking. Jackson. Doesn't mean they can't pull it out of the fire. Uchendu on goal. Leet. Comfortable. But still a save that had to be made. You don't want to give City a sniff. Uchendu with a flick on towards Henry. Pryor. Bumps it back up the ground. Now it's Copus Brown. So a minute left in the 90. Oh, Wilson got herself into a pickle against the pylon. Well, she's earned a free kick there. May have got a little bit of fortune as well. And we've got 5 additional minutes of stoppage time for Newcastle to see out to make history. Do I have to repeat though? The back end of last year, 2025, Mariners led victory 3-0 in stoppage time. Match finished 3-3. That was the Christmas miracle. Melbourne City have the ability to produce a New Year's miracle. But not if they can't connect. So this would be their biggest defeat under coach Michael Matriciani. That shows you how good they've been. It's not a slight at all. If they lose this 3-1, only ever defeats in this competition. That second leg loss to the Mariners, 1-0 last year, and then 2-1 against Canberra back in December. So Henry floating it across. Bates gets a touch. Now it's Hoban, a chance to stretch her legs. Felt the footsteps of Wilson and found Ayres instead. And now Newcastle just trying to control possession at the back end of this match. Oh, what's going on here? Hoban in a tangle with Wilson. Totally off the ball. Hoban won't mind that. Kostelakis with some strapping on that right leg, just hobbling a touch. So Shelby McMahon expected back for City. They've got Brisbane on Tuesday. So quick turnaround for them. Then they've got Perth on January 24 away from home before they face Adelaide as well away. So the next 3 matches away for Melbourne City. So they have to buckle up and knuckle down. They'll be getting up those aerial miles. Newcastle have got Adelaide United at home on Wednesday. The end of that 4-match stretch in 11 days before facing Wellington Phoenix at home as well. And Kelly Brown. So Newcastle to try and make it 4. Brown measures the cross towards Ayres. Falls for Lancaster. Off the crossbar. It could have been a double for Lancaster. Maybe now a double potentially for Brown. It's blocked. Well, it would have been 3 goals in 2 matches for Charlotte Lancaster. Still maybe a chance. Copus Brown, back post. Lancaster was there again. Was just a little too far in front of her, it seemed. Seemed like the height was okay. This is Lancaster's strike. Definitely didn't cross the line. What a season she's having. Charlotte Lancaster, she's coming into a real purple patch. She's playing a 6th match today and she's got 3 goals. So Holly McNamara and Karapetis with the touch. Leet will have to be careful. Well, Melbourne City were asking about a back pass. The referee having nothing of it. Leet with a chuckle. Well, it's been a professional job from the Jets here. The way they've seen this match into its dying embers. The flag comes up for offside. There's another chunk of time gone for Melbourne City. And they are just about at the finish line, the Jets. Since the first meeting on the 13th of December 2015, Newcastle never have beaten Melbourne City. This is the 20th meeting between these two sides. It's about to all come to an end. The wait, the hurt, the drought. 18 defeats. Knocked out in the finals by City 2 years ago. Just 1 draw. That's the only points they've taken off Melbourne City over the last 10 and a bit years. Melbourne City, if they got one final chance, no, they haven't. Pryor wins the ball and a free kick. And history is rewritten in Melbourne for the first time ever. Yes, for the very first time in this competition's history, the Newcastle Jets have beaten Melbourne City. It's a result which will reverberate through their season, and maybe, just maybe, it could give them the belief to push on for an unlikely finals berth. Brown opened the scoring. City responded via the penalty spot with some controversy before Copus, Brown and Lancaster earned Stephen Hoyle's team all 3 points at Amy Park. It's frustration for City. And back-to-back wins for the Jets for the first time this season. So let the record show. They've taken the blows over many years, but tonight it's the Jets with a win over Melbourne City. Melbourne City 1, Newcastle Jets 3. And let's have a look at the highlights of this one. And it all started in the first half. Newcastle, from the outset, they showed the energy, the endeavour, the tenacity, and it brought about a turnover from City at the back. And